Right, let's make a start, although I know you'll all be a few minutes behind me, so I'm just gonna talk to myself while I wait for it to actually show anywhere. Hello, just talking to myself, and while I try and get it up on the laptop. No, not yet, not yet. Here we go. Right, I'm on the laptop, so that must mean that any minute now people will, right, click to expand, and I can see the comments now. Right, so that's looking good. Hope everybody's having a nice Sunday. If anybody's there, say hello. Hello, Julie. So I'm not on my own anymore, which is always a good position to be in. Hope everybody's having a nice Sunday evening. It's turning a bit chilly, so which means we're well into autumn, which is good. So last week we focused on Christmas. Not this week. We're going to be doing something a bit different. So we've got some of my favourite Apothecary stamps going. So we're going to have a look at some of those. I've got some exciting news to tell you. Hi, Auntie Jeanette. And yeah, lots of exciting news to tell you. Got a busy week coming up. So we will make a start in a minute having a look at some product, and then we'll get into some demoing. But wait for a few more people to arrive, because I know it's Sunday evening. Hi, Jill. I am trying to keep half an eye on the laptop there. I have remembered to mute it so I don't hear myself, which is always disconcerting. So good evening, everybody. We are going to say, I've called this a spot of Apothecary because the products we're going to be looking at are very much along that kind of line of things that I really like, which is potions and lotions and things like that. So we've got some beautiful stamps to look at, got a couple of MDF kits. All of these are on the website. I have tried to do a featured link. Don't know if it's showing on your side, but it's showing on mine. Hi, Margaret. So there should be a link that takes you to the website, and there is a category just for this live. And as the same as last week, on Thursday onto our YouTube channel, I'll put a more in-depth tutorial for some of the products. And it was lovely to see that Mira had already made an easel card, and a shout out to Sue as well. Hi, Mr. Adam Humphreys, because Sue sent me a beautiful text with a lovely card. Don't know if I can show it because it might be for somebody. So Sue, let me know if I can show it on Facebook because it's brilliant. Right, so I'm going to turn the camera down now so that we can look at the desk. I am still using my front facing camera, so apologies, everything will be in reverse. But don't worry, you'll still get the gist of it. And then I say with the YouTube on Thursday, everything will be around the right way. And hopefully this time next week, I will be back to having it all the right way around. Now I've just got to remember which button to press. Don't want to go off there. And there we go. So we're down onto the desk so you can see what I'm doing. So, hi Carol. Right, let's have a look at some stamps. So I say apologies, everything is going to be back to front, but I'll try and get it up the right way for you. So we have 4 beautiful A5 stamp sets. We have got, this one is very, 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 very limited. I haven't got many of these. The Vintage Pharmacy, which is based on all proper actual adverts from pharmaceutical journals from the 1890s. So yeah, some of this stuff is fabulous. Then we have our vintage bottles, which are beautiful. We're going to be looking at that in more detail. We have time, with one of my favourite sayings, time is precious, waste it wisely. And craft is definitely a good way to waste it. And then we have the vintage ledger, which has a probate inventory there, some feathers, ink splot, a proper postcard, and a little inkwell as well. So they're really nice stamp sets, and they are a good size. So we are going to be looking at those in a minute, but just to go with them, and again, we haven't got many of these left. We have a few of our mini trinket books, which if anybody remembers these are the ones with the living hinge. They make a really nice close over diorama. And talking of dioramas, we do have the beautiful curio cabinet, the little tiny one. Well, as I say tiny, this is A4, so you can see it's not that tiny. And this gives you all those beautiful compartments that you can put all manner of curiosities and things like that in. So there's some MDF projects if you want to get going with those. Obviously this comes flat pack, but it is a nice easy one to build, and it's fabulous because you've got all these little areas where you can make little bottles. And talking of bottles, we do have a fabulous potions bottle in that section on the website as well, which is really lovely. If you fill it with oil and water, you can make your own lava lamps, and we'll come to what you can mix that with. I'm missing saying hello to people. Hello everybody. Right, let's make a start. So we're going to start with the bottle stamps, okay, this beautiful set here. Okay, so I'm just going to, sorry about the rustling, I have taken some out of the bags already. Right, what do I need? I need that ink, so I've taken out, this is the bigger of the bottles, and also on the website you will see we have our layering apertures. And these are just a really handy template to have. They come with these middle sections that you just twist and they pop out, leaving you this beautiful outside. But then you've got these which have got all your different layers on, so that we can mat and layer things and do pyramage, all sorts of different things. Right, so let's gonna do just a nice, this could be a journal page. Obviously I'm doing it on a card here. So we're just going to take one of our bottles. I think this is tonic water. No, toilet water. Love that, love that. So yeah, these again are real genuine bottles, just made into stamp form. Okay, so pressing it down. It's a good size stamp, this. But yeah, I mean the ornateness of the label is beautiful. So I'm just going to keep this fairly simple for this demo, just to show you. So there it is, it's lovely. And what I've already done is I've stamped it out on a piece of scrap paper, so I'm going to be able to cover it up completely. Now I'm going to bring in my aperture and I'm going to lay that over the top. Okay, so my bottle is underneath and I'm going to play with that panel there. So I'm just going to grab some inks. I confess I haven't swapped the inks from last week because I really liked that colour combination. And I think sometimes it's nice to do things in similar colours. Now if you want to tape this down, you can do, but I'm just going to go freestyle because I'm rogue like that. Hello Denise, you've been crafting all afternoon. Excellent, perfect way to spend the afternoon. And it is that sort of time of year where we're thinking of, you know, starting to make things, and just the dark evenings as well is perfect for a little bit of crafting. Okay, so I'm just putting some ink down here, come in with a bit of broken china as well. So just blending those together. All right, and then also in that category on the website, you'll notice I've got some of our lovely masks and stencils, including this one which is called Pipework, and this is really lovely. And I just think for sort of potions and lotions and that kind of apothecary, steampunk, all those sort of fun things where you can just get lost in your imagination, this is a really nice one. Okay, so I'm just doing a little bit of that, quite subtle, and then I've also got some words here. Now this is on there as well. It does say art is an adventure, creative minds are never tidy, can vouch for that around this table, and craft like no one's watching. Maybe that's not the one for today, but hey. And I'm going to come in with a bit of forest moss now, so I'm going to come up a bit darker on my colours. Okay, and I'm not really worried about what the words are, I just want a little bit of words in the background there. Okay, so you're just getting that sort of interest, and because we've got this plastic stencil around here, I'm not having to sort of worry too much because that's controlling it for me. So anybody who struggles with random, if you give yourself an element of control in something, so here it's the element of control, is that shape. It helps you. It means that you can let loose a little bit. So, and then we're going to take that off. So we've got that nice panel, and then we take that off, and you see, because we've masked him off, he's now popped to the front. And we're just going to stamp a sentiment on here, and the sentiment within this stamp set, read into this what you want with this saying, is every empty bottle is filled with stories. Now, be that stories you don't want shared because the bottle was maybe of the spirit variety, or whether it is a message in a bottle that you have found on the beach. You can read into that sentiment whatever you want. I always think an empty bottle on the beach is a message in a bottle, but you've just got a really nice, simple, let me turn it around. I appreciate the writing will be back to front. Hello, Eleanor, you found us. Oh, well done on doing the labels, Denise, good idea. It is a nice one, again, for just letting loose. So that's our bottles, really nice and a bit different. So again, obviously, I know we're coming up to Christmas and this is not a particularly Christmassy project, but you know, that could be a wine bottle, that could be a bottle of spirits, that could be, you know, but I just love that apothecary feel to things. But you can also make it quite contemporary by what colours you use. So that's the bottles. We're now going to have a play with time. Now I appreciate that the time one is not overly apothecary, but I wanted a little bit of a theme for this. So let me just show you the full set. So you've got this fabulous big pocket watch, my favourite sentiment. You've got the chain, so if you want to have it hanging, and you've got the hourglass. We'll come back to the hourglass later. Right, I just need to grab some bits from where I've started to be really organised down here. Already off to the left hand side here is a bit chaotic. Oh, I need you as well in a minute. Right. Okay, we're going to come with a different colour. But we're still going to keep working with this aperture, okay? And we're just using the main bit of it. We're not even using the bit we pulled out. So again, if you wanted to tape this down, you can. But what I like is have it in the middle of a piece of card like this. And we all know, I'm breaking my golden rule here. Let's just work on this. A, it protects my cutting mat. And B, it means that I'm going to have some papers to work with later. So I'm going all the way around. So this aperture is also giving me a frame, so that if you're wanting to keep your cards very flat, or you're working in a journal and you don't want it to be all bulky and blown out, this is the perfect thing to do. Oh, excellent. People are getting their advent calendars. Excellent. I hope you haven't peeped yet. You may have a little feel of the packets, but you're not allowed to open them. Or if you do, don't tell me. Right, so I'm just going all the way around here. So what you'll find is because these apertures are on Mylar, you get that lovely blend. So okay, I'm only using one colour of ink here, but if you were using 2 or 3, that would actually help you blend your ink as well. But I love this technique because it's going to break up your card and give you the illusion of matting and layering without having to actually cut card or anything. So you've got that lovely panel and frame. Right. Now, take that stamp off. Put my clock on. And then here we have a very delightful piece wet kitchen towel, and if Helen is watching, I apologise now, she doesn't like wet tissue, and I'm just going to make it extra wet. And also I had peppermint oil in that bottle for another purpose. Smells lovely now. Right, I am actually going to ink up my stamp with water. Okay, so you want that kitchen towel really wet. I don't know if you can see that, but that's really squidging about there. Right, so, and then onto that panel of colour and press down and count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, holding it firmly down, more firmly than if you were doing it with ink, and pull away. And you'll see it's pulled away some of that colour. And then I'm just going to come in with a piece of towel and just dry away. And you're getting that lovely washed out, faded look. Okay. Then we take away the wet one so we don't put our arm in it later. Okay, let it dry. I'm going to now use archival ink because this will handle the fact that that might not be fully dry. Okay. And then roughly line it up, but you just want it very slightly offset. Okay, press firmly down. Again, if you've got a stamping platform, that would make this a little bit easier for you. Right, I'm just making sure I'm not missing any comments. I think I'm up to date. Okay. And there you've got that lovely halo effect that's making that pop. And then all I want is my sentiment. I'm going to swap that from this block here. So this is time is precious, waste it wisely. And I'm going to come in with the navy just because I want that to stand out a little bit. Okay. And we're going to stamp that, and I'm just going to stamp that offset straight down. And there you go. You've got your very simple, almost like a halo. It really makes it pop out and stand out. Bless you, Mark. Yeah, that's a common problem for me. I get too carried away, and yeah. Right, so 2 cards done. Right, got a little pile down there, and I'll do what I did last week as well, which is photograph them afterwards so that you can upload them so you can have a better look at them. Right, next one. I'm going to stick with the clock. No, actually, I am going to swap back to the bottle because I'm Mrs. Indecisive. I'm going to swap back to one of the bottles. Okay, stick that on the back there. Where's my bottle gone? There it is. Okay. And what we're going to do now is a technique that is called out of the box die cutting. And anybody that has seen this technique before or attempted to do it will probably be groaning at this point, because when nesting dies first came out, this was one of the real popular techniques because it does look really cool when it's done. But it was also one of the hardest to teach, one of the hardest to achieve, but it was worth it because it looked fab. But it was all back to front in your head, and it was really complicated explaining it. But I discovered with our aperture masks and stencils, it became really easy. Okay, so I've stamped my bottle and I've done it on some nice sheet music. So now I'm going to go back to the bit of the aperture that I pulled out. You see, we've got all these different grades so that we can do different sizes. But what I want is I want to have this panel that is going to be like a journal or a topper or something that's going to be of interest on a card or something. But I want my bottle to look like it's falling out of it. You know, so that's where it gets the out of the box die cut name. And I think, if I'm looking at it, I think this size here would be really good. So obviously for you to do this, you would not use a black pen, but I need to do it so that you can see what I'm doing. So I've picked my size and I'm going to draw around it, just ready to cut out. But as soon as I hit where I've stamped, I'm going to stop. So I started here, I've gone round and I've stopped there. So when you come to cut this out, instead of cutting the whole shape out, you're going to cut where you've drawn with the line. And all of these apertures, we make them so they're a nice, easy shape to cut out. And then when you get to the stamped image, you cut out the stamped image. You can see why when you try to do this with nesting dies, it got very complicated. Okay, so we're going to go round the stamped image, and again these bottles are so nice and easy to. So this could be, I mean, I've chosen sheet music, but this could be page from an encyclopedia, you know, and it'd be like a chemical page, you know, where you've got all that interest of. So you've got your panel there. So we're going to stick this onto a card, and then for matting and layering you use, hang on, I'm just going to come in, snaffle some of my black card, which I'm going to need in a minute. And you're going to go the one size up. So as I did the outside of that one, I'm now going to do the inside of the other one. Okay, so I'm just going to do the inside of that. Obviously I've chosen to do a black pen on black card, which is going to be really fun for me to cut out in a minute. I can just about make it out. Hello everybody. Yes, the water effect, Linda, is a fabulous one. Really good at this time of the year as well if you've got a nice Christmassy stamp. That big greeting we had last week, the It's a Wonderful Time of the Year, works really nicely for it. Okay, and then you would just put that behind, and you've got a nice interesting topper, so you could put your birthday greeting or, you know, your spell recipe, whatever you wanted on there, and you've got that box so it looks like it is coming out of the box. So that is like faux out of the box die cutting. Right, let's put the stamps to one side for a minute and let's talk mica powders. So in that section on the website that I keep talking about, the one that's labelled up for today, I have put some of our mica powders. We have the gold, the copper, and then we have two of the micas and more. Now I appreciate on the screen they're going to look quite similar, but you have got Regal, which is a purple, and these are what are called a duotone, which means it has a different colour when you work with it on different coloured cards. So this is a purple that has a navy blue sort of interference kind of colour, and then you've got Frosty Night, which is a blue with a silver. So again, for Christmas it is absolutely fabulous. Right, let's have a little play. Obviously with mica powders there are 101 things to do with them, but as we haven't got 101 hours to play, we will just limit it to a few. So first things first is mica powders have what's called a reconstitutional binding agent in them, which means that if you mix them with water, you can make them into a paint. But if you mix them with water again, they'll come back to life. To make mica work, it needs something to carry it, be that water, ink. Generally, to activate the binding agent, you need moisture, but you can also mix these into embossing powder. But I'm just going to, any ink pad that is slow drying, so your distress inks, anything like that will work with them. Okay, so all I've done is I've stamped that, and then I'm just going to come in and dust my mica on with a blusher brush, and then just, you get that beautiful iridescent feel to it. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do, where's my big bottle gone, because I did this earlier and it is beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to come in, I'm going to use a distress ink this time because they do stay. I used a Versafine Claire. Distress ink stays wet even longer because it's got that glycerin base, that wetting agent in, which is why they blend and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to stamp that down, press it firmly down. Okay, so obviously you can't see it at the moment, and this time I'm going to bring a bit of gold and a bit of the copper again with my blusher brush, just lightly dab that around. Notice you don't need much. Okay, and also all this that I'm brushing off, and use the blusher brush just to buff it as well. All this that I'm brushing off, so to speak. If you spritz your mat with water later, that will activate it and you'll be able to pick that up and use that. But the moisture in the ink is what's activating the binding agent there. And what I love about mica is you get all the detail of the stamp without it clumping like you would with heat embossing. The only thing is, if this is something that's going to be handled a lot, the natural oils and things in your fingers can actually reactivate the binding agent, because we've said it's a reconstitutional one. So what you want to do is get a bit of a hairspray, and it's always funny because if I'm doing hairspray for this, I always buy for the coloured hair, just because maybe it's just going to stop it bleaching a little bit. So what you do is you spray a little bit of hairspray into the air and then waft your card through it, and that will just put a slight film over it and protect your mica powders from there. Okay, right, next one. So I'm going to come in again with Distress ink, and I'm just smearing some Distress ink onto the card, and again dip in and just cover that whole panel with mica powder. Okay, so you've got that beautiful, look at that sheen to that. Now this is the gold and the copper. These do not have the duotones. So what you see, the metallics is what you see is what you get, whereas the duotones, you can really play with them. Right, where's my hourglass? Here he is, because he looks really cute on this technique. So swapping my stamps. So my hourglass, I'm now going to ink him up with Versafine Clair in the pine cone. Anybody that was watching last week knows pine cone, one of my favourites. Okay, generously ink it up and press it down firmly into that mica powder. So what you've got to remember is this is a reconstitutional binding agent here, so I'm putting a wet ink into that mica. What will happen is it will lift the mica away. Don't know if you can see, but the mica is now actually on my stamp. So if I was to press that down, you would have an impression with the mica. But look at that, it gives you that almost copper engraved look. Isn't that fabulous? Just looks so lovely with the mica there. But if you've got ultra thick embossing powder, if you do a nice coat of your ultra thick embossing powder, and when you come to press your stamp in, if it's got that mica on it, the moisture from the embossing powder will grab that mica and capture it as well. So it's not wasted. So I mean, this is really just brushing the surface with mica. Again, you can mix them with things. On the website there is mixed medium. This is an all singing, all dancing paste, but this dries clear, and if you mix your mica into it, you can make yourself a mica paste which will go through your stencils and things like that. So let's quickly do that just to show you. I'm going to grab my journal in that from last week. Don't think there's any of these left on the website. I do apologise. Right, I have got, okay, not the ideal mixing implement, but I have got my bone folder. So I'm going to take a little bit of I'm going to work on a bit of plastic so I don't messy up my work surface too much. So I'm just taking a little bit of this mixed medium. This is great. It can work like a clear gesso. It can work as a glue. You can mix glitter into it. You can do all sorts of things with this paste. It acts as a clear resist paste as well. But what is really nice is if you add your mica into it, put the lid on before. Now, obviously, this paste is white at the moment, so you're not seeing the shimmer of the mica. But as that dries and the paste turns clear, that amazing shimmer of your mica will come back through. So let's do the pipes. So just smear it on. Obviously I've only mixed up a small amount, and this is the great thing, you get a big massive pot of it and you can make any colour you want. You could, all that sort of scrap mica that you've knocked onto the table, just mix it into this paste, and it will also have a little bit of height as well. And then as that dries, you'll get that beautiful copper tone coming through. But again, don't waste what's on the stencil. Rather than, you know, just disregard it, come in, and before you do any clearing, I so need to do this with my finger, which is how I'd normally do it. Okay, because you can then, it also acts as a resist as well. So when that's dry, if you take ink to it, you'd get this amazing extra effect with it. You can spray it with mica sprays as well. But you know, this is the cleanup, but that is a really lovely usable piece that you could tear up and use as a background. But you're not even that. You're getting that last hint, and you've used very little, left very little on your stencil, so that's ready to go. So that's your mica mixed into pastes. Obviously you can mix it into spray bottles. Remember the little bottle I talked about? Mix some of your mica with water and pour it into the bottom, and then top it off with some, I use vegetable oil. Does have a slight colour, but if you had baby oil or something like that, a clearish oil, use that at the top. And then when you shake it, obviously oil and water don't want to mix together, so you get those lovely bubbles in it, and it makes it look like a really, really good potion. So that's a fun one with that bottle. Okay, right, I've done that bit. Okay, let's see, so what haven't we looked at yet? Oh, we haven't looked at one of my favourite stencils. So I'm just going to take him out of his and just show you this. This is Wings and Words. Okay, it is a beautiful, beautiful stencil. Okay, and I'm going to use it in the very simple way and just ink through it. And we're going to go with, what have we got? Ground Espresso. Okay, such a beautiful one. You've got some words going on in the background there. So lovely. You can just use elements of this. You can again use it with your pastes. It's just a really lovely one to use. But let's do something a little bit more dramatic with it, and it's along the same lines as we did earlier with the stamp. So let's go down with some colour. Okay, be nice and generous. This is, anybody that's been to my workshops, this is what I call aggressive inking. I know, so it's one of my favourite stencils as well. Right, so we're going with nice aggressive inking. So we're getting lots of colour down there. Okay. I'm just taking that brown off there. Let's come in with a bit of, let's age this up with a little bit of Ground Espresso. Just to give it sort of, because that was a bit too blood red. Let's just sort of really age this up. The more ink you put down with this, the better it is. Okay. Lay your stencil over the top again and back with the water. Okay. Now I normally have the roll of kitchen towel for this technique, and I always say you roll the kitchen towel away from yourself so you can check it's working. Okay, and then just to dab off. I'm trying to avoid using my heat gun because it messes up the volume on the mic. well, I say it messes up the volume on the mic. I can't not talk louder when I'm using my heat gun. But you can see, again, it's washed out. It's given that, and the more that dries, the more effective that becomes. And you could just leave it at that stage if you wanted to. But again, I'm going to do that same thing I did with the stamp, just to show that this works with both. And you can see that's almost appearing in front of you how crisp that becomes. So again, line it up and then offset it. And I'm going to stick with the same sort of colours, because this is going to give it a really nice pop. Okay, so just generously, aggressively work that through. Now, obviously the wings are very delicate. Now, although these are 350 micron masks and stencils that we cut, there are still bits that you just want to take your time with. There is no race. All right. So just through we go. Ooh. See what I mean? You don't want to rush this, because you want to get that crispness. Okay, again, if you want to tape them down, you can do. Here we go. So I keep forgetting to read the comments. I apologise. What I did last time was I went through, and then anything I needed to comment on, I did comment on. So if I don't see it at the same time, right, there's just a little bit of mica left on my brush there. So I'm just working that in. Isn't that beautiful? So it really makes it look like you've embossed it, but it's not. It's just flat, but it gives it that illusion of being embossed. And again, this is one that we could do that technique from last week where you tore that up and got 2 for 1 on it, or if you messed up your you wobbled while you were not stamping it, we weren't stamping it, when you were stenciling it. Okay, and then let's decide. Yeah, I think I'm going to do something with that. Okay, I'd planned to do X amount of things, and then it was time dependent, and we've still got time. So I'm going to now come in with my time. So there's my sentiment for time. Okay. Right, I'm going to be brave here. I'm going to stamp directly. This is Plum. This is Plum Archival. Okay. I'm going to stamp it directly down onto here. Now, I'm not actually worried about the clock face at this point, so I'm going to give my attention. Really must find my stamping platform. You know when you put it somewhere safe? Right, not worried about that, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stamp it onto the sheet music or any other pale one, because at the moment it's a little bit lost in there. So, and obviously I've made the background, showed you how to do it, but that could be a patterned paper you're using that's a really busy one. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out the clock face, because if you think a pocket watch would have a different colour clock face. Okay, right. Who's messy? Me? I'm always messy. That is key to a creative mind, apparently. Right, why when I used my glue earlier, glue does that. It goes, oh, you were fine, were you? So I'm then going to just pop that in. and then you see it makes that clock face pop, gives you that focal point. And then we're going to come in, we're going to add our words, but again I think I want my words to pop a little bit more, because if I just stamp them onto there they might get lost. So let's stamp them onto, here we go, this is the sign of Ali's working. There's stuff everywhere. Right, stamps over there. Okay, and I'm going to go with my pine cone, and I'm going to stamp it right in the middle. Okay, I know that's a little bit wasteful, but it was the piece I cut off from my card blank, so it's fine. Right, stop leaning on things, turn it over. That's the only trouble when your work surface isn't the neatest, is that if you've got a piece of paper underneath. No, oh, you know what? I bet there's a bit of plastic on there. I'm going to do the bottle one because my eyesight is shocking. Yeah, there's a piece of plastic on there. Oh dear. Right, let's do with the other one. But don't lose that, because that will get torn up. No, pine cone. When I took it out of the bag, I didn't look, and bad me, I have not got my glasses on. I never craft with my glasses on. Here we go. That's better. Now, I don't know if you remember me saying about if you pull towards yourself, the white bit is on the top there. So I'm going to make sure that I pull towards myself all the way around. So I'm going to have this lovely, the exposed edge. And whenever you're tearing, it doesn't have to be a race. Just go slowly. Okay. So I've got that nice, I'm going to go a little bit smaller there. And then what I want to do, coming in to my book here, peel that off because I want that for later. Okay, and now we're going to find our sponge. And I'm not re-inking my sponge, I'm just going to go around there so it's really picking up that edge where the tearing is, to make it pop. Okay, and then I know the sentiment isn't the right one, but it just to give you the idea. All of this is just about to give you ideas and to get the old mojo going. Okay, and then where's that chain? Tell you what might be quite nice is the chain, the watch chain. Instead of using it as a watch chain, I'm going to avoid inking the very top bit, and I'm just going to use it like a little sort of decorative corner. Okay, so you don't have to ever use the whole of a stamp, and it just gives you a little corner there that's going to finish that off. Okay, so is there anything anybody wanted to see out of the things I've shown you today? Because we've done the clock stamp, I haven't done anything with the ledger. I mean, the ledger one is lovely. I tell you what, we'll use the ledger in a minute. We'll do a little sort of another one of our stickers, but in a different way, I think. But I just wanted to show you, there are some of the ephemera on the website as well, and this one wasn't actually there originally, and this is the vintage panels. And what I love about this is the fact that you can create your own bottle labels using this, because being sticky on the back, you can obviously stick it over things, but also you can create fun labels as well by taking words and things from other pieces of printed material. So I've just, on this sheet music, it said, so what's new? And then you could also take like a stamped image as well. I haven't got anything handy. Take something from some words from the bottle, or you know, if you've got a bug stamp or something, you could stamp that there, and then when you turn it over, it looks like it's part of the label, and you would stick that round a bottle. But I say, if you've got photos from encyclopedias, that's really, really lovely. Okay, right, ledgers. Right, okie dokie. Let me just clear a little space so I can work, because yes, I am a very messy crafter. Right, we have sheet of labels. Gone for a different size. A few people did order the labels, so this is you know, a really good thing to have in your arsenal. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 labels, like a bit like we did last week, but these are the bigger ones. But this one down here, in fact, we'll do this one first. So this works with mica powders and gilding flake, but I've only got the mica powders with us today. So take it over, turn it over so it's exposed on the sticky side. Okay, eek. And then come in with your mica powder. Let's open up that Regal so you can see that. I'll have Regal and the gold. Okay, now obviously, being a label, and I've turned it over, it's sticky, so the mica powders are clinging. Okay, and I say, if you've got gilding flake as well, just apply a little bit of the gilding flake to this as well, and you get these lovely panels that are no longer sticky, that have got the beautiful mica powder worked into them, and it's going to stay there. Leave that for a second. And then ledger, where did I put my ledger stamps? I had them like 30 seconds ago. There they are, honestly. So peel off the ledger and acrylic block. When you got that, there it is. We'll use the hand in a second as well. Right, so I'm going to come in with my pine cone again. And I'm not even really looking here, I'm just, I mean, it is just lovely. So that's a little bit of a panel there. And then where's my hand? I think the hand, again, we're going to do a little bit like we did with the clock face. So I'm going to come in with the hand. We're going to stamp. I'm going to aim for a less busy part of the old paper. So sort of go there. Move that label out from underneath. Okay. Yeah, my workspace always looks like this, and thankfully I no longer craft in the kitchen at home, because yes, there was time where I did roast a stamp by mistake. Took the potatoes out, turned them over, put them on the side where I may or may not have had a stamp. It stuck to the bottom of the roasting tin, and Paul did not question the strange aroma coming from dinner. I don't know if that speaks more about my crafting or my cooking. So I'm just going to do this. So cut round, and then would have that. And I tend to try and line the pen up with the writing, so it looks like it's actually being written down here. So again, by having, don't always have to have the focal point as the brightly coloured thing. The background can be brightly coloured, and then the focal point is the black and white or brown and white version. Okay, so that's another use for your labels with the mica powders. I am going to tip that into a little packet down there, and let's end up, last thing, we're going to just play with the labels again, and so I can show you a few of the other stamps from the ledger while we're here. So we're just going to come in, we've used you a lot today, let's come in with a bit of ground espresso. Okay, just all over with some colour. So I'm going quite dark this time. I've got antique linen here. Let's just move some of the stuff. You see, if you can't see it on air, you don't know it's there, do you? So just working that in. So these are much bigger labels, so these are going to give you a whole panel to work with. And where is my lovely, let's give it a little bit of warmth. If I say warmth, Evergreen Bough is a blue, but it has, I don't know, there's just something about it. So this is a very sort of almost galaxy looking colour scheme here. You just not thinking about it. This is what we ended with last week as well. No, no craft, no dinner. He's never. No. I used to do the two together. Not a good idea. Right, let's come in with ledger. Okay. So just gonna look at the state of my fingers. It's a good job dinner's pre-cooked and I've just got to reheat it. There we go. And again, although these are big panels on these, you see last week we did the little ones, we're going to have a big panel this week. And the packs of labels, this is what we've done. We've mixed up, so you get little ones, you get big ones. Okay. I just love this sort of freedom, I suppose is the word. Right, within ledger you've also got ink splot, and if anybody has tried to do ink splots before, you know, where you actually drop the ink, it's the only time it'll drop neatly is when you don't want it to. But this stamp is fab, and again, if you do it in browns, it looks like the coffee stain and things like that. So I'm just randomly, random is the word. Okay, and I love this stamp. This is really pretty, and I'm going to go with the navy, I think, Twilight on the VersaFine Claire, because I really want this to show up. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, and so just a couple of them, not too many. Waste not, want not. Okay. Right. Eek. So, what can we do with this? So I'm just going to peel one off. Stick it down. So we've got that lovely panel that not even thought about it. And then what are we going to have to go on top of that? Let's do a couple of our little bottles. Okay. And let's do it on lined paper. So I'm going to stick him onto here. So we've done you a lot bottle. We've done you big bottle a lot. Let's find little bottles. which will be somewhere in the pile of amazingness that's beside me. Here we go. Let's do the little bottle. And we're just going to stamp him, I think, in the navy. Yeah, I love a background can be, and the great thing with these labels is that you can just keep them on the sheet so that when you're at a loss. So this is lime, like a lime cordial, that one. And then we'll have this one, which is, I can't read it upside down, water softener. Okay, so we're just going to cut them out. Yeek. So round we go. Here we go. And then by cutting them out, we can decide. We don't have to commit straight away, but we can just play with the elements. So you might want to stick these on cards so that they're not perfectly flat. Raise them up. You can layer one in front of the other. Okay, but the other thing I want to do is I want to highlight that panel. So I'm going to use the label to sort of draw around. So it's going to give it that element, but I'm going to leave those there, so I'm not going to go behind them. And then I'm going to stick that and then add my greeting. Well, not greeting, it's a sentiment. I will stick these down. I will commit. Yeah, a background is like these are so lovely because you've not really thought about it. I didn't have a plan for these. I did have a plan for the first few demos, but this is just plain, seeing what comes. And then where's that lovely sentiment? It was on the block. There it is. And again, I mean, these are these stamps, they're not necessarily for cards. These are journal stamps. These are project stamps. These are so much more than just cards, because as I said last week, cards people don't necessarily hang on to, but this would be a fabulous journal cover. There you go. One last little project. Okay, so we've done quite a bit there. So we've done some backgrounds, we've played with mica powder. I love that copper etched feel. We have stamped with water to create that. We did, what else did we do? We did some masking. Oh, we did this whole project there. We've done loads in this time. So it just goes to show that just sitting and playing can actually open up lots of different things. And really the main thing we're focused on here is using water and mica powders. And already we've got this array of things to work with, lots to play with. So just a quick reminder of the stamps we were using. They're from our vintage range. Somebody might have opened one of the ledger ones. So you've got the pharmacy, the vintage bottles, the vintage time, and the ledger, which is not in its packet, but I can show you the cover of it. There it is. All right, so they're all lovely A5 stamps, really lovely to work with, and again across genres, so to speak. But I love the fact that you can use them for your dioramas and boxes and journals and all sorts of things. Really great for making your own designer papers. We've had a play with some of our lovely masks, and just because we'd got a few of them left in stock, we've got the little curiosity cabinet there. So there's quite a few bits for you to get playing with. And as I say, don't forget, on Thursday I'll be uploading onto YouTube some more a more in-depth project with these stamps and masks. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next week. But before I go, one last thing, keep forgetting to say this. Thursday morning 9 a.m. I will be live on Highlight with bookbinding and some fab new stuff for the paper making. Okay, take care, see you soon, bye.